And then, most importantly, keep talking to customers. Because one thing I know for sure is when one reads all the stories about the future, it's all about the technology. And the technology is very cool. But we have to continue as Ford Motor Company to ask ourselves, is this making people's life better, easier, or more enjoyable? And if it's not, we got to figure something else out. So, it's really exciting, it's really cool, but we have to do it in a thoughtful way that people are going to value.
I wish more tech companies would ask themselves that about their own products. One thing I really admire about you, Bill, is how passionate you are about the local community and about giving back to the city. I know Ford Motor Company recently purchased the long-abandoned Michigan Central Station. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts about rebuilding that historic piece of property and what that means.
I mean, it's going to be great, and it's because we actually in that area, Corktown. So just a bit of history. Corktown was founded by the Irish who came from County Cork. That's where my relatives are from. In fact, they're still there, and I go back and visit. So, there was always a draw for me there. The other thing is, I used to drive by the Central Station, and it drove me crazy because out-of-town photographers would always photograph that as what was wrong with Detroit. And you'd see the decay of Detroit as the story, and then the visual would be the Michigan Central Station. So I decided that we were going to change that. But we had to make sure that it worked for our business, it worked for what we want to create in the future. And fortunately, it does. And so it's going to be, this whole Corktown revival is going to be wonderful. But one thing we don't want is this to be a corporate takeover of Corktown. We're spending a lot of time in Corktown with individuals, with businesses, saying, what would you like to see us do and what don't you want to see us do?
And I think it's wonderful too, because when I look around the city, you really feel the entrepreneurial spirit of a city that's recreating itself and growing.
It's awesome. I mean, I've been here my whole life, and I've seen the city at its best and I've seen it at its worst. And there's a sense of optimism now that permeates the city. Somebody said to me a while ago, this feels like Silicon Valley 20 years ago. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And they said, because everybody's helping everybody. If there's a new restaurant, a new bar, a new startup, everybody's supporting that. And it's real, and it's really fun.
I'd love to hear more about zero waste. Obviously, your great-grandfather, Henry Ford, really believed in zero waste, talked about that a lot. So how is Ford reimagining the future of mobility in this new era where sustainability is so crucial?
Well, it's something that's always been important to me, and in fact, I was, seen as a huge outlier on the environment for many years. But we've published the first self-critical environmental report, over 15 years ago now. And people thought we were nuts. But it was important to me that we do things the right way. And so we set targets of things like water usage long before anybody else was even thinking about it. We've reduced our water usage, I think, by 80%. And in our manufacturing, and which is, people don't think of manufacturing as a big water user. In fact, historically it has been.
Wow.
But we are, and same thing with hazardous waste and chemicals, and we're trying to, get rid of all that so that not just our products are improving rapidly, but actually the whole process of our products, including our supply base, and we monitor, human rights in our supply base, and all those things I think go into the ethics of who you are as a company. Some people don't care about it, and some customers will never know about it. But our employees know about it, and our employees care a lot about who we are and what we stand for. And so that's something I'll never give up on.
And I could tell just from speaking to you for a few minutes how passionate you are about making employees feel recognized and taking care of them. I also love to hear about the Ford Volunteer Corps. I think that's something, I loved reading about that and hearing.
Well, that's something I started some years ago, because early in my career, when I would go by a bulletin board, they'd say, hey, there's anybody want to take a volunteer trip to Children's Hospital, and there'd be like 10 spaces, and you'd see 20 people trying to write below the line to get in. And I thought, this is amazing. We ought to somehow capture this and institutionalize it. And so you can imagine I had all the corporate bureaucracy telling me, no, we can't give people time off and to go do these things that aren't directly related to their job. Finally, I just said, no, we're going to do it. and we formed the volunteer corps, and it's to work in either things big like tsunami recovery or earthquake recovery, or small things that are in people's neighborhoods. But whatever they feel is important, we help them and encourage them to go do it. And actually, not surprisingly, what people get back is 10 times more than what they put in.
And I mean, it's very visionary, because you hear a lot of workplaces now are starting to give kind of more paid volunteer days,
Right.
and knowing that that's something that's really important to employees.
Yeah, I didn't do it to be a pioneer. I just did it to sort of formalize what was already here, which was a spirit of wanting to help. And so it's been a blast. I love it. And it's one of the things I'm most proud of.
I also read that you do your own kind of 30 under 30. You identify 30 Ford employees, young up-and-comers, to be trained as young philanthropists.
Yeah, because it really struck me that we have all this great young talent, but giving back to the community isn't something that necessarily was on their radar screen or were trained to do. So, but one thing I've learned more from them than they've learned from me, because one thing I've learned is that each generation has to interpret what that means for them. And it's very different than what it meant necessarily for my generation. For example, networking is hugely important for the 30 under 30 group. My generation, maybe not so much. But one of the things that was really interesting is the first year we loaned out our young people to traditional organizations like the Salvation Army and United Way, and some of the. And what was really interesting was it was a huge wake-up moment for these older institutions, because they said, our volunteers are aging out, and we don't know how to reach this young cohort. And these people have given us all kinds of really cool ideas that we never would have thought of. We don't know anything about social media. We don't know anything about networking. We don't know how to provide the kind of opportunities that they're asking for. So it's been great for us as a company. I think our partners in the community really love it.
It's great. It helps them identify their next generation of board members and
yeah,
leaders.
but it'll be a different type. It'll take a different form. It won't be just sitting around a boardroom, like our generation. The younger generation just wants to get on and do things, and we have to provide them opportunities to do that.
Well, it sounds like not only is Ford doing some incredible things, it's also a wonderful place to work, and a lot of that is thanks to you and your spirit and culture. Bill, in the final moments of our chat, what are you most excited about for this year?
Well, I go in every year excited because I love what we're doing, but what always gets me most excited are our people. Cars and trucks come and go. Plants are plants, and people ask me, when you think of Ford, what was your best moment? And it's always around people, and always will be, because that's what makes us special as a company, is our people, and how we treat each other, and how we think about each other, and how we think about the world around us. And it's probably not the right answer that the world probably people want to say. You say it's a certain vehicle or a certain. And I'm very proud of all our vehicles and what our teams create, but what I'm most proud of is the culture of our company and how much people care about our company and about the world around them. To me, that's irreplaceable.
Well, you're right. Companies can always create new products, but what you can't do is you can't create a more human workforce or a better culture. Bill, thank you so much for joining us.